How's it going, everybody? It's your boy, and we are here with a new sort of series or podcast, even Marshall Football. We are your source for all the best takes in football, as rated by me and me alone. With me is a very special guest, my dad. Dad, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Andy's dad. My name is Ken. I am of The Adventures of Ken and Becky on YouTube. If you'd like to check that out, you can find a link in the description of this video. My wife and I, and sometimes Andy, go on trips and share our experiences. But first passion has always been football, so let's get into it.
All right, so as you can probably guess from the fact that off to the side here we have the predict playoff games screen up, what we are going to be doing today primarily is focusing on our playoff predictions, primarily for the first round, though I think we will go a little bit into what we think will happen for the rest of the playoffs. So, Dad, what is the first game of the week?
First game of the week is Saturday, January 10th at 3:30 Central Time. It is the Rams at Carolina. So the
All right.
Rams ended the season with a 12-5 record. Carolina ended with 8-9, and as we know, because Carolina won their division, they get to host the game despite having a worse record.
Yes. And what is perhaps even more surprising is that these two teams have faced off already this season in the regular season, and the Panthers won.
They did, which is pretty interesting given how, even going into that game, everybody in the NFL, all the experts, basically predicted the Rams to be the team to beat, especially on the NFC side. So it was quite surprising to see the Panthers win that game, but I don't think it's going to be quite that easy this next time around.
I agree. Frankly, I mean, Drake May has had a fantastic season, and we will get to that, but Matthew Stafford is still the MVP frontrunner in the eyes of many, and that includes myself. I don't know about you, but I like Matthew Stafford to win that award right now. And he has got
I
two really good wide receivers to throw to.
Yeah, I would agree. From a team perspective, the Rams have over 4,700 yards passing and 46 touchdown passes. I believe those are all by Matthew Stafford, but I don't have that up at the moment. But I know that at least 40 plus of those are from Stafford. I remember him from his days even in the NFC Central, or NFC North, sorry. That's how far back I go. Uh, Playing with Megatron and others, where, I mean, he was always a very prolific passer.
Yes, and I mean Bryce Young has had some fantastic games, but he did not end it off very well this year. In that game against the Buccaneers, he did not look great. But that every time you expect him to do poorly, he shows up.
I agree. I haven't watched him much this year, but he has finally started to come on after a couple of years in the league where even last year, I think people were starting to wonder, is he a bust? But he finally got some help, on the offensive side of the ball, and is starting to spread his wings a little bit. But this is going to be his first foray into the playoffs, and Matt Stafford is actually already won a Super Bowl with the Rams. So in
Yes,
his current offense with many of the players that he's playing with.
yes, and speaking of the help that Bryce Young has got, he's got a new flashy wide receiver in Tedero McMillan. I think has kind of unseated Emeka Egbuka for the highest odds to get offensive rookie of the year. Um, I think this team has a very bright future if they can keep building on that success.
I think they do. The NFC South is wide open. We know that the Falcons already fired their head coach and their GM, so they're basically starting over. I mean, I know they have some really good young players, especially on offense, but their organization is kind of rebooting. Then you got the Saints, where you got Shuck at quarterback. I don't know that he's in the same class as Bryce Young. And then you have Tampa Bay, which also just fired their head coach. So that's going to be another new offense that they're going to have to learn down there. So they will definitely have the upper footing going into next season, regardless of what happens in the playoffs.
But all that being said, that is the future, and right now we are in the present. And I think, despite all we've been saying good about the Panthers, you can kind of see the writing on the wall. I think the Rams win this game.
I think they do too. I don't think that it's going to be particularly close. Uh, I can look up the Vegas odds for the wild card round, but I think that do, 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 yeah, I'll come back to that in a minute. I think that the Rams are going to kind of walk away with this one. I don't really see uh, the Panthers being able to keep up with that offense when it really comes down to it.
Yeah, I agree. So let's go ahead and lock that one in, I think, for the Rams. Now, you don't got to tell me the next one in the schedule. I know that one very well. That is our Chicago Bears versus our arch rival, the Green Bay Packers, on Saturday Night Football.
Yes, that's true. Just real quick, um, yeah, uh, the Packers have are 1.1 1.1.5 point favorites in that
Yes.
game, even though they're coming into Chicago. Pretty
And on a
evenly
four-game lose
matched,
streak.
and on a 4 game lose streak, the Bears on a 2 game lose streak. Uh, they are pretty evenly matched, even though in both meetings in the regular season, Green Bay was ahead and quite honestly, kind of in control of those games until the fourth quarter came around. But when you look at the talent available on both teams, they're fairly evenly matched. I think that the Packers' defense is stronger. And I think that the Bears' offense, when they're clicking, can score with anybody.
Yes.
But the key in and especially this last game and has been a problem a few times this year, more than a few times, is getting off to slow starts, especially in the second half of the season, not really heating up until the second half.
Yeah. Um, that being said, what we have seen this season is that Caleb Williams plays his best when the lights are at their brightest, and the lights are certainly the brightest they will have ever been in his career.
Yes, first playoff appearance for Caleb. Uh, Jordan Love's been there a few times already.
Yeah.
However, I think when it comes down to pure talent, pure physical talent, I think Caleb has the edge. Obviously, time in the league, Jordan Love has the edge. But the bottom line is that if Caleb can sort out a few things, especially in these next couple of years with some of his just where did that pass come from kind of things, he's going to be the guy to beat in this division for a long time. However, that's the future, right? We're talking about right now. What do you see are the strengths and weaknesses of both teams?
Well, quite frankly, I think starting off with kind of the weaknesses of the Packers is they very notably have what some have called a wide receiver room of wide receiver twos. And you can kind of see that their best guy, Jaden Reed, is probably he's probably wide receiver one on on quite a few teams, but there's also quite a few teams where he's probably wide receiver two. And if he's above those other guys, then they're not making higher than wide receiver two on any other team. Um, Now they have a really strong run game with Josh Jacobs, and that is what we saw in our last meeting between the Bears and the Packers. Is they dominated the control of the ball with their run game, and the Bears. My main critique of that was that the Bears never even tried to get them out of the run game. Uh, put the put the onus on are on the part of our defense that actually does things, our secondary, although they that secondary was not too hot in our game against the 49ers. Uh, but quite frankly, I think if we can even try to stop the run game, that will be an improvement.
Yeah, I agree on the strength. What the Packers will try to exploit against the Bears, right? They are a play action pass team on
Yeah,
offense, which means that they're going to try to give us a heavy dose of Josh Jacobs, and from there you're going to have to try to find a way to stop him, right? Because if
yeah,
he's getting 4 and 5 yards a clip, they don't need to pass except for when they want to pass, right?
yeah.
And if the Bears have to commit extra bodies to come down to try to stop that run, it's going to expose the secondary to have to cover uh, more closely and for longer amounts of time, right? You're
Yeah.
gonna open up holes in that defense, especially if you try to go zone and if you try to go man. Right now, our secondary is kind of banged up. Jalen Johnson is back, but he's not really
Yeah.
fully back, I don't think.
Yeah.
Also, Nashawn Wright, to your point, as we've talked about before, uh, he's either getting turnovers or he's overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
And short area quickness has been a problem for him. And the Packers, especially with their screen game, that they rely on a lot of short area quickness a lot of short passes where the receiver tries to get yards after the catch. So that's going to be a real challenge. Defensively, Mike Parsons is gone for the season.
Yeah, he is.
Their defense has not been nearly as effective with him out. They're having to blitz more. So if the Bears can pick up that blitz, just like any other good quarterback, Caleb can find a way to find that open man. He's getting better at identifying where that blitz is coming from. And when you know that where that blitz is coming from, you look for there's going to be an opening behind that rush attempt. And then obviously his Houdini-like skills for escaping sacks and creating other opportunities. I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunity for scoring for the Bears.
I agree. Although that Packers defense is still, I think, a formidable threat even without Micah Parsons. Um, but to get into the Bears' strengths is their ability to play against really strong defenses, especially in that fourth quarter. It doesn't really seem to matter how good your defense is when you get into that fourth quarter. If you leave Caleb Williams hanging around, he's gonna do his best to win that game, and he's gonna at least
Oh,
get close.
yeah, yeah. Caleb Williams is what the Bears have been missing in terms of that fourth quarter guy. I've watched more quarterbacks than I can remember play for this team, and he is the first in a very, very long time that is able to come back from a deficit and keep his cool. And in previous years, previous quarterbacks, I'd be like, okay, how are they going to screw this up now? I have confidence that he's going to more than likely put the ball in a good spot, especially when the pressure's on. He does not put the ball at risk very often. I know that he's thrown a couple of late game picks, but that's outside the norm for him. Even in late game situations, he's typically right on the money. And the Bears, number 3 rushing offense in the league, right? So I think they're going to lean heavily into that. I know the Packers are really good at stopping the run, but if they can get that going at all, that opens up the Bears' play action game.
I agree. I That was another area I kind of had some grievances with in the last game is that we obviously we want to get that run game going. We are a team that is predicated on getting that run game going right now. That being said, if they know that you are going to run the ball, they're going to stop you from running that ball um, to the best of their ability. And quite frankly, our we have a rookie who's shown some real promise, and DeAndre Swift, who is not going to get any better. Um, who has kind of had a breakout. a year as compared to last year, but it's not he's not an elite back by any means. Um,
Right. He had a career year rushing, but
yeah,
just over 1,000 yards, less than 1,100 yards.
yeah,
But that was his best ever as a pro.
yeah. So kind of that problem is they are going to be able to stop our run game if that is all we do. And in that last game against the Packers, we were in that tight situation because we couldn't stay on the field. They would stop the run. We'd run 3 times. We'd get a big run for over 10 yards. We get a first down on the first play. Then our second run stopped short. Third run stopped short. It's third and long. Now we've got to pass it. They break it up, punt, and then they'd go ahead and score themselves. It put us in a bad situation. I think if we want to win this game, you've got to mix it up a little bit. I did not like how little we mixed it up on offense or defense in that game because it let the Packers know exactly what we were going to do, and it let them walk all over us until that fourth quarter.
Yep. Rome Dunze gets back finally
He
after
does.
missing, I believe, 5 weeks. So that will help. Luther Burden has been starting to emerge. Also helps. You got Loveland, you got Komet, you got DJ Moore. You've got a lot of targets that you can exploit in the passing game. I think in order to win this game, I think the Bears need 6 scores, half of those being touchdowns.
Yeah,
So I'm thinking basically 30 plus points to win. So 31 really, if you're talking 3 field goals and 3 touchdowns, right? So because the defense is not going to be able to stop the Packers from scoring. But in order to limit that, you have to get that run game going. You have to dominate the time of possession in this game, and that's been a struggle for them, even against the 49ers when they were going back and forth, right?
yeah,
So that's been a struggle. I think ultimately, the Bears' defense is wherever they exit the playoffs. I think it will be a result of the defense just doesn't have quite enough talent, especially rushing the passer.
I do agree. And but here's a thing that I think should be considered. Um, the Packers are going to have Jordan Love back. I think the reason they ran to the extent they did, obviously they're going to run the ball against us quite a bit. They know our defense is lacking in run stopping potential, but I think they ran the ball more than they normally would against the Bears
Oh,
in the last
absolutely.
meeting because Malik Willis was in. And for all the flashiness that Malik Willis has shown, I think they're only letting him throw on plays where they know they can get a guy wide open.
Well, that highlights my point even further, right? Especially against a team like the Bears' run defense. If you can get a run game going against the Bears, then you can pass when you want to, not
Yeah,
when you need to. And that's why Malik was able to have such a good game. Well, there are 2 reasons, right?
yeah,
Backup quarterbacks tend to, if they're a different style of player than the starter,
yes.
tend to fare pretty well in a game that they come in, and he is a different style player.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
and then and then also, if you are able to pass when you want to, once you suck those safeties down and those linebackers down closer to the line of scrimmage, that opens up more opportunities in zone or man. And the Packers wide receivers, although mostly number twos, like you say, they find ways to get open.
Yeah,
So that's going to be a struggle for the Bears. The best way to beat them is to have a balanced game plan where you are running and passing, but where you are running enough so that your defense can rest.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, like I said, I think they're going to be because yeah, you've gotta run when you've got to run as much as you can and only pass when you have to. But frankly, there's kind of or pass when you want to, not pass when you have to. Sorry,
Mhm.
but um, frankly, there is some element of reverse in that where you can't just be running when you have to. There's
Right.
times where you want to run. There's times when you have to run, and you can't just limit yourself to running the ball if you can avoid it.
Yeah, you have
And
to keep them off
yeah,
balance.
with their starting quarterback back in, they are going to limit their run a little bit because they're going to want Jordan Love to throw that ball to keep us on our back feet.
I think he'll be a little rusty maybe in the first quarter, but then he'll be
Yeah,
fine after that.
I
He
agree.
This will be his first game back since the Bears game.
Yeah,
There's a little bad blood between in the media at least. The hit Booker put on that gave him the concussion. Some people are saying it's illegal. Clearly, yes, it was a
yeah,
foul, but I don't think there was any malice or intent
yeah,
to it. Uh, it was just an unfortunate
yeah,
circumstance that cost him
yeah.
some time.
It's an unpolished defensive end who, quite frankly, doesn't know what he's doing sometimes, and
Yeah.
didn't see what Jordan Love was doing coming.
Yep.
Um,
So what do you think? Who do you think wins?
I know you don't like putting the Bears over the Packers until the Bears can consistently win. Personally, I've got hope. I think, like I said, Caleb plays his best when the lights are at their brightest, and this is the brightest they will be. Has Caleb played a game of this magnitude before? No, but I think he will adapt into it. And like we've seen him play a full game against the 49ers because his back was against the wall. He had to throw well, and he did all game until that last play essentially, and that honestly not really on him. I know we've all seen the picture of the receiver hopping up and down in the end zone with all those guys in his face. I don't think you could even see him, and that's also an incredibly hard play to make, even for the guys who are the best at that kind of shot. They're going to struggle fading back, guy in their face, hitting them as they throw across the body all the way out there. That's not going to work for most guys. Um, but like I said, Caleb can play a full game when he's being pushed to by the circumstances, and I think the circumstances here will push him to. So I personally want to give it to the Bears. I don't think it'll be easy. I think it'll be close, and quite frankly, I think if we beat the Packers, we're out the next round. But I think we have this. I have that hope in my heart.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with you. I I don't think the first of all, even if the Bears win against the Packers, I believe they're out in the second round.
Yes, yes,
There are a lot of strong run games, and then you start also mixing in some elite passers. Unless unless they were to end up facing the Seahawks, I think that they would struggle. The Bears defense lives on takeaways, and in particular, they live on taking away passes, interceptions. They lead the league in interceptions. Um, but the problem is Jordan Love doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. He
yeah,
will throw some up there for you, but I believe he's like somewhere between 5 and 7 on the year.
yeah.
Granted, he's missed a few games, but I don't know that he's going to. I think he'll give them one chance, and if they take it, great. But I think ultimately the Bears end up falling short.
Well, I've got some good news for you, Dad.
Hmm.
Toyotathon is over.
Well, Toyotathon is over. That's when
Yeah,
Jordan Love plays his best. So
yeah.
yes,
So who knows? Who knows? Jordan Love, the Packers did not play very well last year in the playoffs against the Eagles, and the
that's true.
Eagles were
He
the
has
Eagles.
struggled in playoffs.
But you might have to look this up. Has Jordan Love ever actually won a playoff game? I don't remember.
That is a good question. Give me a moment, and I will ask.
Can can you guys tell that we're Bears fans based on the fact that we have spent much more time talking about the Bears game than the Rams game?
He won his first playoff game,
Okay,
wild card game against the Cowboys in 23. He lost the next game against the 49ers, and then he lost last year against the Eagles.
right. So
So he's 1-2 in the
yeah,
playoffs.
and the one he had was against the Packers, or not the Packers, the the Cowboys. Excuse me. Although
And
the Packers are
Toyotathon may have been on.
what?
and Toyotathon may have been on. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
no.
I would love for the Bears to beat the Packers. I don't know that
Yeah.
it's going to happen just
Yeah.
because I don't know that they have enough on defense to keep Jordan Love in that run game in
Yeah.
particular off the field. Um, I, I will say that it was that last game against the Packers. It was very good that they were able to get some takeaways inside the red zone. But again, those were when Malik Willis was in the game.
Although I will say, I think we actually played better defense against the Packers when Jordan Love was in. We kind of learned from our mistakes against the Packers that first time. We game planned for them properly, and then Jordan Love got a concussion and was out, and that kind of
I think
threw
they
things out the
actually
window.
let us hang around.
Mm,
I think that they had a case of what I accuse the Bears of often is letting teams hang around too
yeah.
long. They let us hang around too long, and it cost them.
Yeah.
Um, I don't, like I said, I think they end up losing. It's unfortunate. You know how it is. We'll hear from all the Packers people we know uh, all off season, but
Yeah.
uh, I hope that they're able to make it back to the playoffs next year. There's no
Yeah.
guarantee, but I think that they'll have a stronger defense. I think they'll commit a lot of resources to improving that in the offseason.
All right. So what we are going to do, I think, here is we are going to leave because we kind of have a disagreement on this. And let me know if you think uh this is okay, Dad. But I think we leave it to simulate that game.
Okay.
Because if we can't come to a conclusion, then I think we let the machine do it.
All right.
All right. So what game is up next?
Next game is the first of three on Sunday. You got the 12-5 Buffalo Bills at the 13-4 Jacksonville Jaguars.
That is an interesting one, and I gotta say, the Jaguars have been going kind of crazy, and I am here for it. I
Yeah, I it's really interesting to see Trevor Lawrence finally get to into the playoffs. I watched him in college. He won at least one, maybe two
yeah,
national championships. Hang
was
on.
really good in college, from what I've heard. Wasn't he from the same draft class as Justin Fields?
Um, not sure. I'll find out here in a second. Here.
Yeah.
Uh, he won. He won one national championship, and that was actually it was a real. Uh, he played another national champion. Yeah, he defeated Alabama. Um, in 2018 national championship, but he returned and played in a second national
Mm.
championship in 2019 against the Joe Burrow-led LSU Tigers, and
Ooh,
that was one of the most entertaining college playoff games I've ever watched. There were some really good receivers in those games as
yeah.
well, and it was just a back and forth score fest. It reminded, honestly, that game that we watched, the Bears 49ers, it was a lot like that. It was just boom, boom, everybody scored every time they got the ball kind of thing.
Yeah. Talk about an
Um,
unethical team. That LSU team. That was what that was Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The two best wide receivers in the league plus one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Just an insane team. And you can
right.
kind of see why the Bengals kind of wanted to rebuild that a little bit.
Yep, and you were right. Justin Fields did come out in the same year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lawrence was drafted number one overall, and Fields was drafted number 11 by the Bears
Yeah.
after a trade up to get there.
Yeah. So, there you go. At least one of the quarterbacks in that draft class is having some overdue success.
Yeah, yeah.
And we
Trevor
all know it's
Lawrence,
not going to be Justin Fields anytime soon.
yeah, his pro career so far has been good, not great.
Yeah.
I he certainly has shown less as a pro than Joe Burrow has.
Yeah.
who was drafted number one overall the next year.
Yeah,
Uh, but both those guys, in college were fantastic. Actually, Trevor Lawrence was he was one of the most top rated. He started as a true freshman
yeah,
and was all the way from that moment on. They're like he's going to be the number one pick overall when he comes out, and it
yeah,
ended up being that. That's how good everybody already knew he was going to be
yeah.
at that level. So
Yeah,
you've got Josh Allen
yeah.
versus Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, the crazy thing about the Jaguars is their rookie from last year, their really good rookie wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr., has not been playing very well. And
Mhm.
I believe Travis Hunter's been injured for most of the season.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be back for
Yeah.
this game or not, or if he
So
is back.
so they're two guys that they were kind of probably counting on going into the going into the season to elevate them at wide receiver, have not been doing that, and yet here they are anyway.
Yep.
Liam Cohen, that is a serious candidate for Coach of the Year, alongside Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson and Kyle Shanahan.
So here's the deal. The Bears have the number three rushing offense,
Yeah.
right? The Bills have the number one rushing offense.
Yes, James Cook has been elite this year. At least he's looked it. And that's kind of hard for me to say after I drafted Jonathan Taylor in fantasy this year.
Right?
uh, I'm still a big
The
Jonathan Taylor fan, but James Cook has been going crazy this year. Josh Allen, for the reigning MVP, has not been doing that great.
That's true. That's true. Their passing offense is kind of middle of the field.
Yeah.
They although they do have the number one run offense, and I'm looking to see where the Jaguars are in terms of passing offense. They are higher.
Yeah.
They are, let's call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're 11th in passing, and the Bills are a few more slots down. Um, but it really will come down probably to the defensive side of the ball in this one.
Yeah. And that is another area, unfortunately, that the Bills have struggled. Now, you can kind of blame some of their lack of success, at least on offense, on the fact that Josh Allen doesn't have any really good wide receivers. Keon Coleman had a couple good games there, but at the early season, but has not really performed. But I mean, honestly, Josh Allen has missed some crucial plays too. I believe they lost their last game of the regular season because Josh Allen against the Eagles. No, there was the game against the Eagles. They lost because Josh Allen missed a throw on a 2-point conversion, and it was a wide open throw. Um, but the Bills' defense has not been anything to write home about either. And
Except that,
yeah.
actually, they're the number one passing
Oh,
defense in
is that
terms of
so?
yardage given up. And uh, the Jaguars are middle of the road, but when
Hmm.
it comes to rushing defense, the Jaguars are the number one in yards given up, and
Yeah.
the Bills
So just to
are middle of
clarify, that
the road.
that is least yards given up for the Jaguars on
Right,
the
least
ground.
yeah, so least passing yards given up for the Bills, least rushing yards given up for the Jaguars, going up. So you got the number one rushing defense against the number one rushing offense. So that's really where this one's going to be
Yeah.
won or lost.
Um, if we're looking at those pure statistics at where they rank, the Jaguars are not the number one passing offense, but the Bills are the number one passing defense. Meanwhile, the
Mhm.
Jaguars are the number one rushing defense, but the Bills are the number one rushing offense. And based on that, it seems like the Bills should have success, should have more success on offense than the Jaguars. That being said, this is the Bills in the playoffs. They're going to find a way to choke somewhere.
True, true, true.
Although they don't
The
have to deal with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, or Joe Burrow, the three usual guys.
Yeah, the Bills opened up as 1.5 point favorites over the
Yeah.
Jaguars.
And that does not surprise me. Not one bit. Um,
Yeah. So
yeah,
I I think even though it's a home game for the
yeah,
Jaguars, I I'm torn on this one.
yeah.
This
I
is
am
one of the
too.
most interesting matchups, other than the Bears game, obviously.
Yeah,
The two most interesting matchups for me are this Bills Jaguars games and the Chargers Patriot game.
yeah.
So, yeah, this is, I mean, essentially, if you're talking about as most people probably know, the home team typically gets a 3 point advantage just for being the home team, and then you start calculating from there. And to see the away team have a 1.5 point advantage means that uh, that so the people that make the odds are trying to entice people to bet for the Bills because so much money is being laid for the Jaguars. So the fans obviously think the Jaguars are going to win.
Mm,
So in order to entice people to I'm sorry, it's the other way around.
mm.
Um, the fans think that the Bills are going to win. So in order to so that 1.5 point favorite means that they have to
Mm.
win by 1.5 to cover the spread, right? So
Okay,
uh, uh, the the betting public they're trying to entice them to bet for the Jaguars. So
okay.
right now they set the lines trying to entice that because the whole point of gambling is to make you have even money on both
Yeah,
teams or as close as possible because they just get a commission on every bet taken, and that's how
yeah,
they make their money.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of a pick 'em though, but
It
so
kind of
usually
is,
you can
but
use that number
yeah.
to even though that's what their goal is, you can kind of use that number to see if somebody's a heavy favorite or not, right? So I kind of think that uh, the Jaguars make a good game of it, but I don't know that they have the staying power for a full game against that run game.
I find myself in agreement. I think what Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars have done, what Liam Cohen has done with this team, is incredible. But I think the Bills, I trust them more. I just trust them more in the playoffs. Ultimately, they
They've
have
got
the
so much more
experience.
experience.
They, quite frankly, if Josh Allen plays like he should, it there's no real way around it. I think that the Bills are just kind of the better team.
Yep,
So
I agree.
that is where we are landing on this. Bills take the win. Who is next?
Next up is the 12-5 49ers versus the 11-6 Eagles. And
This
the
one,
line on that one has the Eagles as 3 point favorites. So they have the
ooh,
standard home, right? So again, kind of a pick 'em. But the 49ers are fresh off a loss
yeah.
against uh, the uh, the Seahawks.
Meanwhile, the Eagles practice squad is fresh off a loss against my goat Josh Johnson of of the Washington Commanders,
Yes. So uh, so in other words, the 49ers were playing to get the number one seed in the first round bye
and the Eagles did not care.
versus yeah, the Eagles did not care. They could not improve their playoff position, so they rested
I
their
mean,
players.
they could have. The Bears lost if they had won their game. They would have taken the 2 seed.
They would have taken the 2 seed, but still all that well that guarantees them potentially one extra
Yeah,
if the top seeds keep winning, it would guarantee them potentially a second
yeah,
home game. But that's a potential,
yeah.
right? So it's
All right.
it was worth it more worth it to them to get the rest
Yeah,
than to get the 2 seed.
agreed. Um, Now you may remember, Dad, before the Bears 49ers game, I think about a week before or something, I said something along the lines of the 49ers are going to be the most dangerous team we face in the regular season. And I think that stands true. I think they absolutely were. Um, and we played very well against them on offense, but our defense just couldn't do anything. And that kind of contrasts with the Bears beating the Eagles and honestly beating them handily.
To me, this is a game of two running backs.
Mm,
You have the guy who was the best running back in the league last year doing amazing things in Saquon Barkley
yeah,
versus a guy who has always been a fantastic talent but has always struggled to stay healthy in Christian
yeah,
McCaffrey. And fortune has it, Christian McCaffrey is healthy.
yes,
Uh, I think I think it comes down to simply that.
yeah,
The two quarterbacks are as evenly enough matched, and the rest of it's evenly enough matched.
yeah,
I think that the dynamic play of CMC takes the 49ers to win.
yeah. I do agree. Now, the interesting thing about CMC is he offers so much more versatility than Saquon does, especially since Saquon has been looking kind of washed up this year. CMC, as you may remember, is actually the receiving leader on the 49ers. And he's doing that as a running back while also having a 1,000-yard rushing year. And
Yeah,
that's the incredible success of the 49ers kind of comes down to that. I think George Kittle is actually going to be back too. Um,
George Kittle will be back.
yeah,
I think he was actually back last week as
yeah,
well.
he was. Yeah, that's right.
He's an important part of their game, obviously, but in the
It,
end, I think it comes
yeah,
down
yeah,
to the which running back is going to be better, and I think it's going to be
yeah.
CMC.
But I mean, there is the distinct possibility that the Eagles show us why they won that Super Bowl, why Jalen Hurts was the Super Bowl MVP. He, I think, is still the only player this year to have a perfect passer rating in any game,
True, but unless they find a way to unleash AJ Brown, which they have not,
except for that
speaking of
one game.
except for one game when I
Yeah.
didn't play him. So
Yeah.
despite my my abysmal fantasy team this year, where I had CMC, Saquon, and AJ Brown, well,
Oh
two of those
no.
three just did not
Yeah.
pan out well for
Yeah.
me. But I have seen no sign of AJ Brown being able
Yeah.
to dominate like he did. I think it was a function of really Saquon having such a good year that it
Yeah.
allowed AJ to dominate more, right? Because again, the same
Mm.
idea we talked about heavily with the Bears and Packers game is when you've got a dominant run game, now they have to commit more resources to stop that run, which really opens up things for your elite receivers.
Now, before anybody feels too bad about my dad's fantasy team, um, I drafted Justin Jefferson in the first round, and then I went and drafted Joe Burrow later on.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
bad year for fantasy.
Yeah. Because
Guys
nobody
that
knew what
were
was going on.
yeah, for guys that were studs consistently for
Yeah.
years just weren't. So,
Yeah. But um frankly, I think you are right about this one. I think there's not a lot to talk about. I think it's astonishing to me that the Eagles are actually the favorites going into this. I mean, yeah, they're the Super Bowl champions, but they just have not had the year that you'd expect out of the Super Bowl champions. Their defense has been kind of mediocre all year, which is a big part of
I think
why they won that Super Bowl.
I think it comes down to three things. First of all, they are the Super Bowl champions.
Yeah,
Second of all, they are the home team,
yeah,
and the 49ers are traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast. Historically, that has always made it more difficult for the West Coast team. I
yeah,
mean, they win a lot of games doing that, but historically, it's just physically different on a player, right? And you're talking about a game that it's actually at the normal San Francisco time is a 3:30 game, so that would
mm,
be roughly when they would normally start a home game. Um, but again, I think it's just those things that have factored in for the Eagles to have the advantage. But again, I think
yeah.
the 49ers are just going to be too much for them.
I agree. Um, like I said, their defense is not what it was in the Super Bowl, or at least it hasn't been playing like it. Um, Jalen Hurts has had a lot of bad games along with a couple good games. Saquon Barkley has just not been there. The 49ers have simply not had those problems. So I'm going to give it to the 49ers, who have a coach that got them a very good season, even when half their roster was missing.
Mhm. Yeah, Purdy missed
Yeah.
several games. Kittle
And
missed games.
Mac
The only guy
Jones
that stayed
looked
healthy
great
was
without Purdy.
CMC.
Yeah.
Right. The only guy who
Yeah.
played the whole season was CMC, who typically you can't count on to do
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah. All right. So who is our next game? Actually, I don't need to ask that because I know that Steelers Texans is Monday.
yep.
So let's talk about the Patriots Chargers game.
You've got my favorite coach
Hmm.
and quarterback going against a quarterback that I actually uh going into the draft with Caleb and Drake May, I liked what Drake brought more to the table. But this was before we had, our
Yeah.
current coach, Ben Johnson and stuff. I had talked many times with friends that I thought that Drake May was going to be a really talented quarterback, but everybody in the world knew that whoever drafted number one overall was going to take Caleb just because of the physical
Yeah.
tools are
Yeah.
just out of this world. And I am not disappointed in any way, shape, or form that
Oh,
we have
absolutely
Caleb.
not.
I just want to remind the world that, hey, I think Drake May was going to be a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Um,
And here
and
he is performing
the
very
reason
well.
why was he reminded me so much of Justin Herbert coming out, and Justin Herbert came out and just threw the ball all over the place, even in
Yeah.
his rookie year. So I knew that he had that kind of talent. So you've got my favorite head coach in Jim Harbaugh, and and two quarterbacks that I really like
Yeah.
going head to head.
And Mike Vrabel has done fantastic things with that team. I,
Yep.
we you hear a lot about, oh, Drake May should win MVP because his wide receivers are nobodies and washed up Stephon Diggs. I got to tell you guys, they have not been playing like nobodies and washed up Stephon Diggs. Mike Vrabel has gotten something out of them that nobody thought they had in them. And Drake May had a pretty terrible year, all things considered. Last year, it was very comparable to Caleb Williams. There are some like redrafts of the quarterbacks that you'll see where Drake May and Caleb Williams are right at the bottom. Look at them
Hmm.
now.
Yep. Yep.
And then Bo Nix
And
was close to the bottom too, and as you can see, he's got the one seed over with the Broncos here. So
mhm. And Drake May
yeah,
is in that conversation for MVP with right up there with
and honestly,
Matt
rightfully
Stafford.
so, rightfully so.
Yeah, at least based on his performance this year, I
Yeah,
think Stafford wins it over in
yeah.
the end. But
I
yeah,
think the voters are going to be the people who actually matter, not just the fans, are going to be are going to be reluctant to give it to a guy who has had one good year and has never really shown it didn't really show the talent in his previous year. Whereas Matthew Stafford has shown talent from many, many previous years and is showing it
he's
again
done it.
here.
Yeah, he's been a good player for basically his whole career.
Yeah.
Despite losing seasons with the Lions and such, he still always put up good passing
Yeah.
numbers.
That being said,
Uh,
yeah, let no one think that I ever said Drake May is a bad quarterback. He has been playing fantastically this year.
yep, just like the last game, I think was the game of running backs. I think this is the game of quarterbacks.
Agreed.
And to me, the hot hand is Drake May. I think that in the end, the Patriots find a way to win this against my Jim Harbaugh, and but um, I think that in the end, I think the Chargers just struggled a little more going into the end of the season,
Yeah.
and where the Patriots just got really hot toward the end of the season.
Yeah.
So I think it's the hot hand that's going
Yeah.
to take this one.
And I agree. And additionally, Justin Herbert, for as good as he is, and he's really good, he does not have an O line in front of him.
That's something that yeah, it was a struggle this year. They lost,
Yeah.
I think, Joe Alt early in the season
Yeah, and
to
their
get
other
season
tackle,
ender.
Rashawn Slater, I think was their other tackle.
Yeah, yeah.
So and they've
Certainly
never
something
had a
that,
good interior. They just
right.
haven't.
And
So their
those would be
whole O
things,
line is a bunch of bums, quite frankly.
right,
And
which is not
yeah,
a hallmark of a Jim Harbaugh
yeah,
coach team. He usually has a really good offensive line, and it has a power run game. So once he really gets that part settled, and gets his power runner back there, and then you got Justin Herbert on top of that, then they will
yeah.
be extremely formidable.
Although, and I'm just realizing this, Dad. You've got from the this is a battle of two guys you kind of wanted last year. You've got Jim
Oh, I
Harbaugh,
wanted
the
both.
coach you wanted over Matt
I
Eberflus last year.
I wanted all three of those guys.
Yeah,
Okay, so I wanted the Bears to go get Jim Harbaugh
yeah,
over keeping Matt Eberflus. That
yeah,
was a disaster waiting to happen. First of all, keeping Eberflus.
yeah.
I also was like, you know what? If it comes down to taking Caleb Williams or trade my first overall pick for a known commodity and Justin Herbert, who I know can throw it all over the place,
Yeah.
I would have been happy to have Justin Herbert. Or like I said, I would have had, I would have been happy with any of these three quarterbacks. I
Agreed.
believe in
Yeah.
on all of them and being winners and being able to take teams uh, well into the playoffs. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's that's why this is one of the most compelling games for me.
Yeah.
I like a lot of people on these teams to watch. So.
But yeah, I agree. I think the Patriots have been very hot. I don't know that they go all the way. Um, this is a team that is not. This is very different from the Patriots dynasty of old with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and Gronk and Julian Edelman and all those guys.
Start
But
somewhere,
yeah,
but I'm looking forward
yeah,
to. I think you could see an AFC Championship with the Broncos and the Patriots. I think it could come down to that.
it very well could. But for right now, let's focus
We're
on this
talking
one
about this
game,
game. Yep,
and we've got the Patriots taking it over the Chargers. And
yep,
that brings us to Monday Night Football. And just to
yep.
remind
Monday
you
night.
guys, this is a home game for the Steelers, and Mike Tomlin has never lost a home game on Monday Night Football. Will this be a first?
The Texans are a 2.5 point favorite in this game
Yeah,
as the visitors. I think. Uh, well, when it comes to the quarterback comparison, Aaron Rodgers is clearly the better quarterback of the two. So much more experience, so much more playoff
yeah,
experience, even though that uh, he only ever won one Super Bowl
yeah,
and would eventually choke somewhere in the playoffs, but he usually got, he didn't lose in the first
yeah,
round very often.
yeah,
And really, when it comes down to it, I think it comes down to Aaron Rodgers versus the Texans defense.
yeah. The very good
Excuse
Texans defense. I actually don't know. Is DK Metcalf coming back for this game, or are they extending his suspension? Like, what's going on with that?
I do not know. So
I don't know if that has been released yet. If not, it will be soon. I kind of suspect DK will be back. Um, that's the simple answer. Um, but I mean, even if he is, the Steelers don't have another wide
it
receiver that
was
they can
just
really
through the
count on.
final two. It was the final two regular season games.
Okay,
So
yeah,
he is eligible and expected to play in the
all
on
right.
Monday.
So yeah, like I was saying though, he's the only real wide receiver they have, and yeah, he's been fantastic this year. And the tight ends have been playing very well too, and the run game has been great. They are 10-7. We all knew they were going to go 9-8 or 10-7.
Right?
Um, and this is one of, if not the best defense in football right now in the Texans.
They are one, two, three, four, five, six, seventh against the pass.
Yeah.
Chargers are fourth against the pass, by the way.
Okay.
So that, I mean, it'll make that game
I don't think
interesting.
that
But
swings it
I
for me.
don't think that's, yeah, I don't think it sways it for me. But and the Texans are one, two, three, four, fifth against the run. So I think that Mike Tomlin gets his first loss ever in wild card round or home at a
I
home game
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
I agree. Um, quite frankly, the I've said all those great things about the Steelers offense. The problem is they don't come together. It's in each game, only one of them will really work. And that is a massive problem when you are trying to build consistency. Um, and the Steelers defense, despite being the highest paid defense, the most expensive defense in the league, it has not shown that. Cam Hayward has still been pretty good. How much longer is he going to be good for? I don't know. TJ Watt has started to take his step back statistically. He did beat his brother all time in sacks. Unfortunately, it was against the Bears. Boo, boo. But
Yep. Yeah, I think
yeah,
that you've got was it what did I say, top
yeah,
11 passing and top
yeah,
4 against the rush.
yeah,
I think that the Texans defense will just be too much for the
yeah,
Steelers. I think that they will be able to apply more consistent pressure against Aaron Rodgers, which you have to do if you're going to beat him. You can't let him sit there and pick apart zone defenses, and you can't blitz a lot against him because he will switch to when he recognizes there's a blitz coming, he's going to switch to something that's going to be a man beater, and he's going to try to draw you offside. He's the far and away best at drawing people offside and getting a free play off of it. In at least of anybody that's current, I probably possibly in history. I mean, he's been. I mean, he actively tries
yeah,
to accomplish that. He and over his career, he averages about one of those every other game. So
yeah.
that's a pretty impressive stat, right? So,
And despite the
um,
fact that he's in his 40s, he still has an absolute cannon of an arm.
yeah, he just is not the athlete that he was in
Yeah.
terms of running and buying time like he used to. So if the Texans can manage to get pressure with 4 guys,
And they've
I
got Daniil Hunter, so that shouldn't
right,
be much of an issue for them.
and they've got Will Anderson too, so they've
Yeah,
got 2 decent pass
yeah,
rushers. So I think they'll be able to get enough pressure on him to force him to not allow him all kinds of time back there, and the run defense is more than enough to stop the Steelers' run game.
yes, I agree. So that is our pick there. Let us simulate the Bears Packers game real quick. The computer gives it to the Packers this time. I've noticed it's not always it can be there's a little bit of randomness in there. I don't know how much of it is random, but in the times I've done this, it'll give it to different guys. Sometimes it'll be somebody that you're like, wow, that's completely absurd. But in this case, I think giving it to the Packers is still fair.
I had ChatGPT earlier this week simulated as well. I had it break it down into drive-by-drive
Mhm.
scoring, and it ended up giving to the Packers in close games both times.
Yeah.
So
All right. So we've been at this for about an hour, but we've still got a little bit. So how about we just quickly go through the rest of this. Now, there is no set schedule for when these games would be. So I figure we just go left to right on this. So first up is Bills Broncos.
if it came to Bills Broncos,
Yeah,
I think the Broncos are the hotter team right now.
agreed.
Um, the
Um,
Bills have
yeah,
struggled kind of late in the season a bit. Sean Payton has Bo Nix playing really well.
yeah. I agree. I think it's still going to be a close game. I think the Bills are going to put up a fight, but quite honestly, I just haven't seen it out of them this year to beat this white hot Broncos team. So we're going to give it to the Broncos. Next up, we have Packers Seahawks.
Uh, hmm.
The Seahawks, arguably one of the arguably the best team in the NFL, I think.
Is it
Um,
at where's the game?
it would be at Seahawks because the
Would
Seahawks,
that be if
yeah,
it
the
okay, if
Seahawks
it
have the
would
one
be
seed,
at
so
that's right. So I would give it to the Seahawks, despite the fact that I think
yeah,
Sam Darnold gives you multiple opportunities a game
yeah,
to pick a ball off. They are historically very hard to beat
yeah,
in their home stadium. The 12th man
yeah,
is their crowd is very very loud, makes it
yes.
very difficult to communicate.
The
And
Seahawks, they threw four interceptions in their first game against the Rams, and it was still a close game. And Sam Darnold threw a bunch of interceptions in the second game against the Rams and won. So
yeah,
this offense
basically
cannot be denied.
right. He threw basically about half of his interceptions against the
Yeah.
Rams defense.
Yeah,
So
this offense cannot be denied, and this defense especially cannot be denied. One of the better defenses in the league, much like the Texans, I think. Um,
yeah,
I agree. I think I give it to the Seahawks. The Packers have been a very good team. Just about every team except the Panthers and arguably the Steelers have been very good teams all year. Um, but I think the Seahawks are just in a league above the Packers.
yep.
Then that takes us to Texans Patriots. I think this would be
Texans at
the
Patriots.
Texans
Right.
at Patriots. Yes, I think this would be the toughest defense that Drake May has played, except probably the Browns. But the Browns didn't have an offense to back that up.
I think this is your upset. I
Yeah,
think this is Texans.
I agree. Drake, like I've been saying, Drake May, Mike Vrabel, those guys, all those guys in New England have been playing fantastic this year. This is where the insanity run ends, I think.
Yeah, I think it's the old saying is offense wins games, defense wins championships.
Yes.
I think that to your point, this is the toughest defense they'll see all year, and I
Yeah.
think it'll cost them.
That takes us to 49ers Rams. 49ers at Rams, I should say. The 6 seed versus the 5 seed, and it is a divisional matchup in the divisional round, which fancy that. And actually, looking at this, you kind of see what could have been last year with the NFC North, which
Mhm.
everybody was saying is the toughest division in the league, and then they all lost their first playoff game. Um, we actually see all three of the teams that made it from the NFC West make it to the divisional round.
I think the home team wins here.
I agree. I think the Rams are just the better team.
Yep.
I actually honestly kind of still think they're the best team in the league. Um,
I think they are, despite a couple of
yeah,
surprise losses. Yep.
yeah. Um, and I just don't think the 49ers can compete with Matthew Stafford throwing to Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua.
Yeah, I think in the end it ends up being a shootout
Yeah,
and that they
yeah.
just win.
That takes us to the conference championships, where we have the Texans at Broncos game. This is a matchup
That-
of this is the best. This is going to be a highly defensive game. I think this is going to be the most defensive game of the entire season,
it-
regular season,
and when you
preseason, postseason.
and when you look at it, I think Bo Nix is playing better.
All right, I do actually agree on that. I think CJ Stroud had that really fantastic year in his rookie year, but he just has
Yeah.
not performed like that since he gave Caleb that little pep talk, and ever since then, Caleb has outplayed him.
This year they're winning with him as opposed to winning because of him.
Yeah. Um, to be fair, he has a really poor O line to support him, and I think that
Oh
is
yeah,
going to,
I'm not
yeah,
saying he's a bad quarterback
yeah,
by any stretch. I think it
yeah.
just
I
I,
think that is where this is going because he's going to have. I said this before the Chargers Broncos game. Against a bad O line, you're going to have somebody like Nick Benito on the Broncos rushing you. You're going to have pressure in your face. Either you're going to get sacked or you're going to throw the ball away. And if you throw the ball away, Pat Surtain is going to be there waiting.
Mhm.
So I think the Broncos are going to win that. And that takes us to LA Rams versus Seattle Seahawks for the third time. They split their season much like the Bears and Packers did, but I think this is an even more electric matchup.
I think the Rams win. I think Sam Darnold's
Yeah.
interceptions finally cost him.
Yeah.
Uh, and then in that Super Bowl matchup, I think
Yes.
that Matt Stafford gets his second Super Bowl.
I agree. I think the Rams are going to take it over the Broncos and over the Seahawks ultimately. And I think there's a good chance Matthew Stafford retires after this year. He's getting older.
Good
There,
chance. I
yeah,
mean, going out on
yeah,
top isn't a bad way to go.
yeah, yeah. I think that would potentially even be incentive for him to go because you don't want to go out looking bad. You want to go out looking good. And there is
Yeah,
no better look than in football than winning the Super Bowl.
that's true.
And there you have it. That is our first playoff prediction of the year. I hope you have enjoyed. And if you have, please like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all in the next one. Have a good one.